All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Change Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Chris Ashley. We explore personal development, spirituality, and science. And I have an incredible guest today with an incredible story. Can't wait to get into it. First, couple quick announcements. Head over to the links in the show notes. You are going to find a wealth of information. You are going to find ways to connect with my amazing guest, ways to connect with me, ways to sponsor the podcast, free downloads, free masterclasses, courses, coaching, all sorts of stuff. Link to my book, Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality. It was endorsed by Bob Doyle, Marcy Shimoff, Michael Beckwith, all three of whom were in The Secret. It was endorsed by John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. So come check it out. And as always, this podcast is part of the Los Angeles Tribune Podcast Network. We are doing amazing things in the personal development realm. We have events pretty much every month. I was just on stage with Les Brown and Dr. Joe Vitale and Sharon Lechter and Jim Quick and Joseph McClendon. So amazing speakers, amazing podcasters. Come be a part of what we're doing. What if the one thing keeping you stuck is the way you think? Welcome to Change Your Mind with Chris Ashley, the podcast where science meets spirituality and mindset becomes your most powerful tool for transformation. I'm Chris Ashley, author of Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality, trainer, speaker, and lifelong seeker. For years, I battled trauma, depression, anger, chronic illness, low self-worth, and the weight of old stories. Until I discovered how to rewire my mind, reconnect with my divine nature, and consciously create a new reality from the inside out. This show is here to help you do the same. Each week, we explore the intersection of personal development, spirituality, and science, diving into topics like healing, emotional mastery, entrepreneurship, resilience, and the quantum nature of reality. You'll hear powerful stories, gain practical tools, and real conversations that will help you change your perspective, get unshakable confidence, and live the vision your soul has always known is possible. Whether you're navigating a major life shift, building your dream business, or seeking deep healing and alignment, you're in the right place. So if you're ready to break through, take back your power, and create a life on your terms, this is your moment. Let's break free from the patterns that hold us back, awaken to who we truly are, and rise. Your transformation starts now. We're doing. All right, so speaking of amazing people, with me today I have Christian Ray Flores. And he is a high performance coach, entrepreneur, international recording artist, and philanthropist with a story that spans continents and industries. From a childhood as a refugee in Chile to becoming a pop star in Eastern Europe, launching award-winning media ventures, and leading global philanthropy, his journey is a masterclass in resilience, reinvention, and impact. He is the host of Headspace by Christian Ray Flores podcast and author of Little Book of Big Reasons to Love America. He speaks globally on leadership, mindset, and the habits that create extraordinary lives. So welcome, Christian. I already have so many questions already just from reading your bio.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I have answers, I think.
Well, I always start my episodes off the same way with the same question, and that's the only one that is rehearsed. So
Okay.
That question is, what's your origin story? So, and it sounds like you have a really interesting one. So, what is it that put you on this path to become a mindset coach and an entrepreneur and all about leadership?
Well, I think it's really a story of your context and your circumstances not limiting where you end up. That's really the bottom line, right? If you think about it. And I think that's sort of that's the tension that we all hold as human beings. It's such a human experience to say, oh, well, I have these limited resources, right? Or this circumstances that if I only ... then I would ... And that's what put me on this journey, is that I had perhaps, on the lower end of opportunity, let's put it that way, compared to other people. I was living in Chile. I was born actually in Russia. My mom is Russian, my dad's Chilean. And we moved there. We were going to spend our lives there. And then there was this massive military coup. My dad was in a concentration camp. A bunch of people got killed and tortured and imprisoned and exiled. And we were actually among the lucky ones who were at least alive. And that sent us basically traveling. And we ended up as refugees in Germany, then went back to Russia for a bit, then to Africa. My dad got a contract there. And I spent my childhood in this very sort of eclectic African experience, right? There's poverty, and then there's great weather, and then there's sort of crazy stuff going on. There was a civil war going on there. And eventually, there was this was, of course, my fourth country, my third continent, right? Then my fifth country was Russia, when my parents got divorced. So I went there when I was a teenager, and it was like in the worst times of the Soviet Union. And then I thought,
it's like you keep hitting every. Like,
I know, yeah, exactly. And then I end up seeing the whole thing collapse right before my very eyes at like age 21, tanks in the streets, that sort of thing. So it just seems to be like this pattern of all kinds of things going wrong. But also in it, it's sort of the seed for opportunity, right? And all of that came to fruition when the whole thing collapsed. And it coincided with me being out of college. I had an economics degree, and I could have gone into sort of the traditional route, but I was very musical my whole life. So I went into music, and literally by the end of the year, all of a sudden, I am on national television across 15 different countries. And it went just completely meteoric, from small clubs to medium clubs to sports arenas, all the way to even being, asked to participate in a presidential campaign for Boris Yeltsin. And that's basically sort of the origin story that all of a sudden turned around into something extraordinarily successful, right? And I think one of the things that I do is coaching, is that I see and I know the mind of the high achiever, right? And I know what makes us tick, and I know what makes us cower and contract. And I just really enjoy sort of finding the mission, clarifying the mission, and giving people the fuel they need, the little tweaks they need to just fly very high, and for the rest of their lives, basically. That's my mission.
What an amazing story of resilience and growth. Yeah. So what is it in high achievers? You said that, and there's so much about your own story I want to ask about, but like that's what's poking out at me the most is like, what is it that all these high achievers have in common? And also like, what are those blocks that you see? Because you said you saw, it makes us cower too.
Yeah. Well, that's a fantastic question. And I think, I really think that the sort of the ambitious people, that they're the ones who basically create change in the world, right? And it could be in everything. It could be in entrepreneurship and science and music and the arts and the humanities. But they don't get a lot of, because they're so driven, so sort of outwardly successful and perhaps talented, they don't get a lot of sympathy. And I have a lot of sympathy and a lot of empathy for people like that, because I know how it feels from the inside. And to answer your question, we have great drive. We have just a vision, something, just this fire in our hearts, right? This desire to do great things. There's probably even willingness to take risks more than most people. The thing that really trips us up is this focus on outer game, the things that we get praised for, excellence professionally. You're an amazing lawyer or writer or engineer. The things that get rewarded by the world with money, with position, with respect, with status, right? And we get a lot of that because we work really hard and we become really good. And then the inner game gets overlooked. And if your inner game is not aligned and not driving your outer game, you will absolutely crash. You'll plateau, hit a wall, all of those things. And it happens literally like clockwork with people. Okay. And that's what happened to me. I literally had a number one hit and I was clinically depressed. And it hits it, like what gets you is different perhaps, but that it catches up with you. That that basically gap between outer game and inner game, that's the thing that I focus on.
I mean, it makes sense. You hear about so many musicians or celebrities who go through depression or end up with like a drug problem or
divorce
or suicide or anything. Yeah. So when you say inner game, can you define what that means to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the stuff that is less visible, right? It's your character, your essence, how you are with people when no one's looking. How are you with romance, with friendship, with leadership? How are you with basically attracting the best talent? How are you in your personal world, in your identity, right? What gives you the confidence that is not sort of connected to external validation? Right? What's your drive? What's your why? Right? All of those things. That's all inner game stuff. And those things are not super highly visible. You don't get rewarded for those things. And those things are also incredibly long arches, right? Like this is not something you have and then immediately everybody sees it and it just has this ripple effect in your life. No, these are things that are nurtured as disciplines in life. So usually people that are highly successful, they fall into all kinds of very, very predictable traps, which is fascinating, right? So if you think about it, well, these are the people that create jobs, they move the world forward, they create change, they change the world. And yet they find themselves to be so vulnerable sometimes and so predictably vulnerable, and that's good news because if it's predictably vulnerable, you can fix it, right? It's not this sort of secret mystery thing. It's actually not that complicated.
Yeah. It's funny how like textbook cliches that happened to me like when I was younger. I went through PTSD and I didn't know that it was that. Right. And I thought I was the only one going through this. And then like come to find out like every symptom was like textbook cliche. And it's like so interesting, like psychologically how our mind works like that, right? It's like if you're this kind of high achiever and you're not doing the inner work, like this is the symptoms that are going to show up.
That's right.
Really fascinating.
And also the disadvantage is that if you are sort of that person that people admire, people stop, you don't have people sort of telling you, hey, you're off. We're concerned about you.
Yeah.
So you, more likely than not, people will stop talking the truth to you, even if when they see it, just because they're intimidated by you, right? So it's a very lonely place. You become fairly isolated, and you have to get out of that isolation. You have to find people who know you, who love you, who also see sort of a little bit more than you do, maybe see around corners for you. And see things that you don't see naturally.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's like when you said earlier, like they don't get much sympathy, and that totally rings true. Like I'm a big Tony Robbins fan, and he talks about that too, where it's like the more like risk you take, the more people are going to judge you, and or like the higher you achieve, the more people are going to judge you and make up things about you because it reminds them that like they're not like risking and they're not like achieving.
I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, envy, sort of victim mentality is a real thing, and it goes hand in hand with basically finding someone who's at fault, right? And also, I think just in general, like you don't have to even be bitter or whatever. When you are sort of on the outside fairly successful or smart or fast or intelligent or financially successful, people sort of assume that you have your act together.
Right.
And it's just not true. It's just an outward person. It's just not true. No one has their act together, as a matter of fact. Everybody, it's just skin deep. You dig just a little bit and you find pain and doubt and dysfunction and things that need to be worked on.
Totally. So you mentioned victimization, and that's interesting you said that. I was going to bring that up to you too, because like everything that you've gone through, it would be so easy for you to have fallen into victimization. And in the world right now, especially with social media, it's almost become like trendy to be a victim because you get sympathy, you get to kind of avoid doing that hard inner work. You can place the blame on something else outside of you. So how did you personally kind of escape that? Like, I mean, you totally could have gone that way. So like, what was it about your mindset or your way of thinking that pulled you in the other direction?
I get that question actually all the time, because it's like when you start listing the stuff that you've been through, people go, "How are you not bitter?" Actually, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I am so grateful for all of it, actually.
Mm.
And the reason I'm grateful is because great strength, insight, wisdom, talent, ability, all of that is actually forged in suffering. All of it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get skills that are sort of differentiating skills unless you've suffered. And sometimes it's suffering that was imposed on you. Sometimes it's suffering that you imposed on yourself. But a lot of time is actually suffering that you're willing to bear to get better. Whatever the route is, well, what's important is the result. What's important is you have abilities that can enrich other people, can serve other people. So for me, I mean, I can trace culture, right? 4 countries by age 7. I spoke 4 languages by age 9.
Wow.
You get to learn about the human condition at this accelerated rate as a child, right? This is the best time to learn stuff like that as a child, right? You get to understand the nuance of culture and language and how people think in different, just completely different worlds. And of course, success in life is all about people. So if you know people, if you love people, if you get people, what an incredible blessing to have, right?
Yeah.
And I can go on and on, right? But my point is, I'm so grateful for all of this stuff. Because it made me who I am, and it gave me the ability to serve people at a higher level.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty remarkable that you're so grounded and you have this gratitude and this appreciation after hitting the level of success you had. Because again, it's like some people can fall into victimization, other people can go into ego trip, right?
Yeah.
So I guess like a follow-up question would be like, how did you not go that direction then?
Well, I mean, I was humbled by my own downfall, basically. Some people, hit fame and fortune, and they sort of isolate themselves and they conserve themselves just for survival. I was so inadequate in other areas. I was literally at the top of the game when it comes to entertainment, music, dancing, showmanship, all of those things, right? I was so good. And then I was like equally inadequate in romance and friendship.
Aw.
and humility in certain areas. And of course, also age, right? The season of life. I'm like, 23. Everybody at age 23 thinks that they're going to like conquer the world and they're completely invincible, right?
Totally.
Of course, that doesn't happen. You understand how the things you need to actually get that done. And I think by 26, I understood that the thing that's just around the corner, the things that's over the horizon. And for most people, it's like, if I were ... I would be ... I would be happy or satisfied or whatever.
Right.
And for me, it happened in my very first attempt at a professional career. And that was a huge, huge blessing, because I discovered that fame and fortune and being popular and having all this attention doesn't actually make you happy. And you know that intellectually, you've read it in books, but if you know it experientially, then it sort of poses the question, okay, so why were you working so hard? Why were you striving then, if this is what you get? Oh, there must be more to life than this. And that's the opportunity to learn, right? And to me, I would say the answer is, the smartest thing I did is to get coached at age 26. That was the first time that happened. And it blew my mind, because I realized, I can learn not only from my mistakes, but other people's mistakes and wisdom as well.
Yeah.
So that what could have taken me a decade to get to as a human being in my maturation and and the skills that I wanted to develop to help others, took me like a fraction of that, right? So speed matters when it comes to personal growth. It really, really matters. Collapsing timelines matters. You can get to places, at 1/5 of the time. Why not? Time is the most precious thing we have, right? The most precious thing.
Yeah, totally. And I think so many people aren't aware enough to go seek out a mentor, seek out a coach, right?
Exactly.
Like you said, they think they can conquer the world, or they're just kind of wrapped up in their own stuff or their own story, or whatever it is. And I wanted to go back to the victimization part, your answer, when you were talking about how living in all of these countries and seeing the human condition before the age of 7 or 9 made a big difference for you. It was making me think about how travel is one of the best forms of education, right?
Absolutely.
And especially when you were getting immersed in those cultures, I can really see how that would have been so impactful.
It really expands, and there's all kinds of studies about that, about even speaking multiple languages and things like that. So I have 3 daughters, and all 3 of them, one of the biggest investments I've made, time, effort, money, from birth, was to take them all over the world.
Yeah.
Because I knew that. I knew that I wanted them to see all these facets of life, right? Both the advantages that you see when you go in the third world and you go, people, the simple life is actually super appealing. We're so engrossed in the complexities and the financial stress here that when you go to certain places, you go, I guess there are some downsides to the American dream, so to say, right? To the classic American dream. But you also see the beauty of, for example, living in a place that is free, that you have less bureaucracies, less tyranny, all of those things, less corruption. And you go, wow, we have it so good here. And then you see poverty, right? And it really grounds you. So my 3 daughters, they're equally sort of, they can easily walk the Champs-Élysées in Paris and go, yeah, this is how we roll. But also they can walk the slums of Maputo, Mozambique, or the slums of Rio de Janeiro and not be afraid. Why? Because their whole lives they've been exposed to this kind of thing. We did a lot of philanthropy all over the world, all the time, right? So they have this extraordinary world view, I guess, that I think now gives them, now they're young adults, I have a 20-year-old, 22-year-old, a 30-year-old, they're all honestly have an unfair advantage over their peers because of some of the things that you just mentioned.
Yeah, no, I love that you raised your daughters that way. I have a 14-month-old, and that's one of my top things. Actually, there's some school that I'm thinking about doing where you can work remotely, and there's all these different locations, and you can go live in these countries for a year and put your kid in school there with this other group of people that are traveling too. And I'm like, wow, how cool would that be? What an amazing experience.
Yeah. Huge advantage. Huge advantage.
Yeah, that's super cool. So you made a comment earlier about, I'm trying to remember the exact way you phrased it, but it was about how high achievers, why they're kind of chasing these, I don't know, I guess financial gains, for lack of a better way of saying it. What is that psychologically that makes people want to chase those external things?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily wrong to chase financial gains. It's just you have to understand the why, right? And one of the things that I usually address when I work with people is, what kind of fuel are you running on, right? Yeah, that's the term that I use. And the analogy of a car, I drive like a high performance car, right? So my car only takes premium fuel. So if I put normal fuel in my car, you can feel it. You can feel the difference, right? It's not going to ruin it, but you can feel the difference. It's really the same thing. You are, as a high achiever, as a professional, a high performance person. That's how you're wired. So you should be fueled by premium fuel. And the problem is that we're really fueled by very mixed fuels. So if you want to do better, in the short run, in the long run, you have to upgrade your fuel level. And it's always mixed, right? So, for example, music is a great. So my first thing, because it's so over the top, right? You're essentially admired by millions of people. So when I'm seeking that career, there's good fuel, there's creativity, it's inspiration. Hey, I want to make music that makes people feel and think on a higher level, think or feel deeply, or care, or think about romance a little bit more, et cetera, or just give them joy, right?
Yeah.
So that's high grade fuel. I want to make an impact and use my platform to maybe attract attention to a worthy cause. That's high grade fuel. Like you can go down, I mean, I want to have a legacy in culture. I want to have an impact. I want to leave a legacy for my children. I want to provide for my family, even financial gains, or fantastic, good fuel. I can list a few things that were, even for me, low grade fuel. I want to guarantee love. I want to make sure people love me. That's low grade fuel because it doesn't work that way. Okay,
Right.
I want to be better than others. I want to compete and be better and show them that I'm better than them. That's low grade fuel. I don't do a project because of fear. That's low grade fuel. I will do a project because of jealousy or revenge, or to show somebody, somebody who ticked me off in my past, or, a parental figure, whatever. That's all. There's all kinds of these sort of low level fuel sources that mix themselves with higher grade fuel. So if you purify your fuel and you do that inner game stuff, right? You will be so much more successful. You'll have so much more impact. You will collaborate with people. You won't compete with people. You will soar and you will last longer, right? You will go much further in life.
I've heard that said so many times that like if you're focusing more on like what you can give and serving, to use your word, like abundance kind of flows to you more. But I guess like a question is like, okay, let's say someone's running on low grade fuel. Like, let's say they want fame, right? Or they want to be better. They're competitive like that. Like, how do you change someone's why? Because isn't that like ingrained in them?
I think it is. I mean, and there's only two ways. You either go, okay, I'm sort of messed up, and I need guidance. That's one way. That's actually the better way, right?
Yeah.
The better way is like it hits you several times over the head, and you go, "What's the pattern? The pattern's me, right? The pattern's me. Like people don't like me, or I can't attract the best people, or I want to collaborate with this person, but there's something they're not saying to me, but they're saying no and they're ghosting me, or opportunities seem to sort of fall through last minute, or like you can get signs, right? And signs are usually through some sort of emotional pain. In the same way that your body gives you signals that something's off with the body through physical pain, your soul, I would say, gives you signals that something's off with your life through emotional pain. So what do you do with that emotional pain? Like the people that escape from that emotional pain into whatever it is, right? An addiction, escapist behavior, let's say, right? It could be all kinds of things, from drugs to sex to whatever. Those are the people that what they're doing is they're trying to not notice reality, that there's a pattern, that there's this dysfunctional pattern in their life, and they can't outrun their pain. Their pain catches up with them. The people who basically feel it and go, okay, I've been like hit over the head like 3 or 4 times in a row in the last 2 years. It's me. I'm the common denominator. Let me find some help. Let me seek some guidance. That's the best case scenario, in my opinion. But if you don't do it that way, life will teach you, basically.
Right.
And the problem is, will you recuperate? And sometimes, some people just don't recuperate, actually.
Yeah, it's almost like life gives you those signs, and if you ignore them, like they get louder and louder, and then it's like taking you by the shoulders.
Yeah, like my wife has a brilliant saying. She goes, "What you don't deal with in your 20s will catch up with you in your 30s. What you don't deal with in your 30s will catch up with you in your 40s," and so it goes, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's just you can't escape it, so might as well deal with it and get guidance, get help, get wisdom, all of those things.
So right before this, I have a television show, and it's more about like metaphysical things. And I had this amazing healer on, energy healer, and we were talking about something that's like really parallel about how, you know, people who kind of always have those patterns, right? Where like bad things happen to them.
Yeah.
Like it's like they're like there's a few people in my life, like three I can think of off the top of my head, where it's like, holy shit, how many bad things can happen to a single person, and how many illnesses can you get? And like, but it's like those people are also like three of the most negative people I know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's so interesting because I'm coming off of that conversation in like the terms of like healing in your body, and kind of like what you're saying about like high achievers, like maybe a way to know what, if you're not sure what your why is, like maybe a way to like figure out if you're running on low fuel is like the circumstances that keep happening. And that's not to like blame a victim, but like noticing patterns. I don't know.
I think, totally.
Yeah.
I think life and the divine sends you clear signals.
Yeah.
You just choose to ignore the signals, or you choose to escape that reality. And that's when people go into all kinds of escapes. I call it escapist behavior, because it's like the whole slew, but the core of it is escape reality, right?
Right.
You escape reality into, you know, binging on Netflix for 4 hours, you know. You escape reality by doing extreme sports because that gets you the adrenaline, and then you're down again, and then you need it again, or porn or things like that, or changing partners, whatever it is, right? Or money, just more money. I need more things to fuel my ego and things like that. That's escapist behavior. All of that, you know, gambling, shopping, status seeking, all of those things are, you're escaping the truth, right? And the escape. The thing is, you can't escape. You can try. You're tricking yourself. You're lying to yourself. And that's sort of the saddest thing about super, super gifted people, is that they get so much validation about their outer game, and so few people get access to their inner game, that they even they are not aware enough of the signals they're getting.
Right.
You know, so you can coast for decades as a successful human being, like externally successful human being, and no one has access to you, and you don't let people in. Your fame basically puts you in a bubble.
Sounds lonely.
It really is. It's so. I mean, I've lost friends to suicide.
Wow.
Suicide. I mean, people on top of the world, like icons, right? Musical icons, to suicide, because that's how it gets. That's how lonely it gets.
Yeah. So when you're talking about like using all of these methods of escape so that they don't see the truth, is the truth like the pain that they're in underneath the surface, or is the truth like that they're not connected to themselves? Like what, and it's probably individual, but is there like a pattern you've seen?
Yeah, I think the truth could be, the truth is this. There are studies that show, I mean, my favorite study is the Harvard study of human development over 80 years. It's a completely secular study, and it shows these are the highest weighted things that influence your success, your health, your wealth, your longevity, all of those things, right?
Oh, wow.
Your faith. Do you have a transcendent practice? Your family. What kind of dynamics do you have with your family? Nuclear family, your kids, your spouse, etc. Your friendships, how deep, authentic, and meaningful they are, what they bring to your life, and meaningful work. Is there a mission behind it? Is there does it mean something, or is this just a job, a paycheck? Those are the things. There's 4 things, right? So, and we can so easily go ignore all 4 and pursue whatever external validation we want, and those 4 don't go away. That's the truth, right? So in my practice, as a matter of fact, if you're listening, you can go to Xponential.life. It's spelled without the E, Xponential.life, and find a scorecard that I use with all my clients, and I give it away for free. Now, the reason I use it all the time is because it's based on that study, and also some personal other dimensions that I've just developed over time. And you can see it takes like 5 minutes to take to get like 40 questions. You answer it, and you get a report in your inbox. And literally based on this inbox, on this report rather, I can tell you, Kris, that you can even be sort of pessimistic about your life right now. But if you're scoring between 8 and 10 across the key 7 dimensions that I care about, I know that your pessimism will turn into optimism because you're going to be fine, because you're scoring high in the most important things. And the opposite can be true. Somebody can be like showing, basically outwardly going, my life is great, this and that. And I can see them scoring between 3 and 4 on 2 or 3 different dimensions. They're probably lying or fronting or lying to themselves. And I can tell you the trouble is just around the corner. I don't even have to know the context of your life. All I need is the score. And I can tell you exactly what's going to happen or what's happening right now.
Well, I'm going to put that link in the show notes, and I'm also going to go do it. So
yeah, check it out. It's so
cool.
simple, but it's extraordinarily predictive, actually.
That's interesting. So I know you work with like high achievers who have had it, but like if there's people who like have that high achievers mindset, but and they're like hustling and they're working and like they just haven't like had that breakthrough, like have you noticed like a pattern in those people? Like what's that blockage? Because I know a lot of our listeners are those kind of people.
Yeah, thank you for asking. And I do work with all kinds of people, right?
Okay.
My when I say high achiever is you really are up to something. You want to change the world. And maybe you're not there yet.
That mindset.
Yeah, it's really more of a mindset. It's like there's a drive, there's a fire in your belly.
I love that.
You know,
my kind of person.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was that person. So I remember sort of sharing an apartment with my musical producer. Like we have one car, like a terrible old car, and all we do is like eat shawarmas, the cheapest food that we can find like around the corner, and write music. And then we get rejection after rejection after rejection, right? So how do you know? How do you know if you're meant to do that, or do you give up and get like a sort of a job that is more predictable, more reliable, etc., right? So, and to me, it's almost like this mirror. High achievers who are highly successful and they plateau because they sort of lost track of their mission, where they come from, their origin story, the sort of what drove them in the first place. The people who are pre sort of success, you know, all they need is to not give up. Most people that don't achieve success, they just give up literally too early. That's all it is most of the time, right? All they do is they just lose heart. And that's what happens. Because there's no external proof that what they desire, they can do, right? So they don't believe in themselves enough. And what they need to do in that case is, again, as with everything I said, get guidance, get somebody who sees around corners for you. Yeah. But also find your tribe. Find people who are sort of in that same, almost like trajectory. They're all struggling, they're all aspiring, but you can aspire together, right? And somebody can talk you off the ledge today, and you can talk them off the ledge tomorrow when you're about to give up, or they're about to give up. And then have this sort of, that's why community is so huge. Where's your family? Where are your parents, your peers, your siblings, your spouse? Those are the people that are sort of upgrade your fuel level, right? Especially when you're struggling, when you're aspiring, you don't see evidence yet. The money hasn't come in. The rejections are still coming in. You need those people so you don't give up, right? And you need a coach sometimes so you don't give up. You know, and I have like people that are young or people that are older that have that same, like, I have to talk them off the ledge. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you having sort of that person who you trust, who knows you, who loves you, who you can just say, hey, I just need to vent. I'm so discouraged. I feel like I want to give up. Should I even be doing this? And like completely unfiltered. You have to have people like that, right? Who are also mature enough and believe in you enough to go, I get it. Please don't give up. I know you have what it takes. You know, these are some tweaks. These are some ways that you can just go faster a little bit, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I love that. I love that answer so much. Because it is, I've been in that place, and it is so freaking discouraging.
Oh, really?
Where you're like, oh my God, do I just keep putting stuff on my credit card? And like, is this irresponsible because I just like have this drive and the money's not coming in yet?
Yeah. And most of the people that you'll see that if you talk to just somebody who you feel like is successful, somebody you look up to, right? And you ask them, hey, tell me about that story in your life. Everybody has it. Everybody, and the people that have, and sometimes, you aspire to things and you need to just find a new dream. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes it is irresponsible, but I think most people don't get to where they want to go because they give up just a little bit too early. It's just persistence. And then what is the system? What's the ecosystem around you that gives you that extra persistence?
Yeah.
You want to outlast you'll have to outlast 90% of the people who are sort of going in the same direction. That's just statistically true. It's 90% of new ventures fail, right? So how do you outlast them?
It makes me think of that like little cartoon I'm sure you've seen where there's like a miner who's like mining for diamonds, and he gives up when he's like an inch away from the diamond.
Yeah. I mean, you are truly one conversation away from your life changing forever. One podcast away, one podcast interview. Maybe I go on this interview with you, and somebody who is like uniquely attracted to what I have to offer says, I need to talk to Christian, and then we work together and everything changes for that person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's really truly, and every successful person will tell you the exact moment, the exact insight that turned everything around. And it's one person, one connection, one opportunity that has this domino effect, right? And what sucks is, when is it going to come?
Totally.
We all want the answer to that question, and we don't know it. Right?
It makes me think of like something a mentor told me a long time ago is like, say yes until you have a good reason to say no, because like you never know where an opportunity is going to lead. Yeah, that's like so real though. It's like, it does suck.
It really does, yeah.
So when you work with people like that are in that kind of position, like besides being that sounding board when they're venting, like how do you advise people? Like, are you just seeing opportunities that they're not, or ideas, or like what does that look like?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time, because after a while you see around corners compared to other people. So that's what it seems to them. Like, how do you know that? I've been around for a long time, right? I've seen a lot. So I think having somebody who is ahead of you, and so I have people like that in my life as well, not only in entrepreneurship, but in marriage and parenting and just general wisdom, right? I have several people, and I invest in them so much because I'm so grateful. They give me something that no one else can give me, right? Their attention and their wisdom, and they care about me. So what I advise is like, look, find somebody you can trust, but then trust them. Like, you have to trust somebody. And we live in such an individualistic society that this kind of apprenticeship heart hardly exists, right? Because we've been sold this myth of the self-made man or self-made woman. There's no such thing as a self-made man and self-made woman. There's no such thing. But there's this myth of this sort of, solo person who achieved, and it's never true, actually. Not almost never, but never true. Even on the business level, it's almost never true. Like every great like tech founder, which is sort of these are our mythological Greek heroes of 21st century.
Right, totally.
Right? Which is sort of stupid, honestly, because there's so many other areas where we should be looking just to enrich our horizon. Totally. But I've worked with a lot of tech founders, for example, startups. I know that space, every single one of them who's been very successful always has some sort of either co-founder or mentor or both. Always. They just get sort of elevated to a pedestal and going, oh, he created an empire. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. So we believe it and drink the Kool-Aid, and then we sort of go it alone. And that's like the worst decision you can possibly make. Never go it alone.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking too, yeah, mentor and coach is so important, but also just like having those people on your level, like you were saying, that
Yeah.
inspire you.
Yeah.
And that you can like kind of bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, collaborate.
Yeah.
Hustle together, right?
Yeah.
You know, get messy, get puzzled together, right? You might not be ahead of each other, but you will, at the very least, talk each other off the ledge. At the very least, say, "Hey, you're the man. You know, you can do this."
Yeah.
You know, or more. I mean, if you have a wide network of people who are up to something, maybe not even directly related to you, you will be surprised at just how many super success stories are honestly the result of just coincidence. You were just having coffee and then somebody overheard your conversation, or you were talking about this other thing and somebody came up with this other idea for the same exact sort of project. And then that is the thing that succeeds and explodes, and the thing that you thought was going to work just doesn't, you know? So people are this, are the greatest treasure we can have is people.
So like how much of that do you think is like luck then? Like people just in the right place at the right time?
Some of it, yeah. I think some of it. But also, you know, like if you are thinking about the discouragement of the quest, right? The loneliness of it. There is a science to it as well. So one of the things that I try to help people with is going, look, if you wake up anxious and you don't know how to turn that around into creativity or flow or optimism, joy, literally you're biologically tuning out opportunity. Like your radar doesn't work for opportunity. All you're thinking of yourself, you're the center of everything, how bad things are, and they were probably going to get worse. So like you're flooding your body with stress hormones, and then you sort of operate based out of survival mode, not out of creativity, not out of creating something new, a new future, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you start your day that way and you don't turn it around, you don't have the skills or the will to do it, and you just go have coffee at a, you know, co-working space, and there's somebody, like two people down, there's somebody sharing an idea. You're so self-focused that you won't even listen to overhear that conversation.
Right.
That's not luck. That's not bad luck, right? That's you not getting the signal.
Right. Not being open to like
exactly right. But if you learn how to turn it around and wake up and you go, man, I'm really bummed out. I got this rejection yesterday from an investor or a partner or a client, and man, I feel deflated. And I felt like that this morning, you know. And the difference between the person who stays that way and me is that I go, okay, I'm gonna go meditate, journal, walk, work out. I know the steps. Yeah. In about an hour, I know I'm going to feel very differently.
Right.
And then the rest of the day is now in a state of flow, in a state of creativity, alertness, and I'm not going to miss the signal in that state.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so if like maybe there's a minuscule of blind luck and this idea of like being open to the possibilities around you, is there also this idea of like just like relentlessly trying different things, like throwing something at the wall hoping it'll stick? Like, is there any of that, or like what's your thought on that?
I mean, I think there's something to be said about just persistence, right? Yeah, and I think it's really the right type of persistence, because it could be sort of stupid persistence in a sense that you're doing the exact same thing expecting a different result, or you're saying, no, I will get this, and I will try all variations or all combinations of doing this until I see the thing that creates a pattern of success in this particular area. So you're hyper focused on one thing and you just beat it into submission, but you're not beating it into submission out of this blind sort of relentless, you know, obstinance. You are beating it into submission by high focus, but also high experimentation. And I think that's the nuance that that makes the difference.
Yeah, totally. So is there anything we haven't touched on today that you think listeners would find really, really helpful and like a good takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I would say this just popped into my mind. Who you marry, who you date, and who you marry is probably the most defining thing to your success compared to anything else. It really is.
Totally.
It really is. To become one, it's inescapable. Marriage is not easy, but it can be the thing that carries you through the hard times, that takes you to the high places. And, on the surface, people go, well, why would that matter? I think it matters actually more than anything else. This is the closest person. This is your partner in life and your partner automatically in business, right?
Totally.
Just automatically. So who you marry, learn how to do that. I didn't know how to do that until I was coached. And I've been married for 25 years now, and it's just the greatest joy.
Congrats. Yeah, no, I love that you said that. I couldn't agree more, because it's like the person that's going to cheer you on if you find the right person, the person that's going to have your back no matter what, the person that's going to believe in you when like you want to fucking quit, right? Like, yeah.
The person's going to kick your butt.
Yeah.
When you're being a knucklehead, or when you're being a victim,
Yeah.
The pity, who will disrupt the pity party, right? All those things. There's nobody else who can do that but your spouse. Nobody.
Yeah. Because, you were talking about like finding, is like one of the 4 things within the Harvard study is like finding like really deep friendships. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, I mean, if you're blessed to have those, that's amazing. But sometimes as an adult, it's hard to make deep friendships like that. Mm-hmm. Like really deep, meaningful, where you can like totally be your raw, authentic self, and they're going to cheer you on. And
it's super hard.
But, yeah.
Especially in America. We're a very individualistic society. Very.
You live in the US now? You live in the US now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been here for 20 years.
Okay.
And it's probably definitely the loneliest place when it comes to. There's a lot of amazing things in America. I love America. I wrote a book about America as an immigrant. But I definitely, because the downside of an individualistic, atomistic society is that relational disconnection. We're very lonely. So you have to sort of work extra hard.
Yeah.
Because just because you live in a society that doesn't make friendship easy or community easy doesn't mean you need it less.
Right.
You still need it. It's still just objectively the human condition. You need it for success.
Yeah.
So work extra hard on those things.
Yeah. And I think like what you were saying before is like find a tribe that's kind of on that same path as you too. Like that's why the internet's so cool now, right? Because you can be in masterminds and you can be in group coaching that's like that. But that doesn't really like take the place of deep friendships, like you were saying. It's
just one angle. I mean, it does probably have an advantage over just friendships if it's highly specialized in a pain point that you really want to solve.
Right.
And done right, actually, group coaching, like, the community that I try to nurture is I want people to just stay together for a long time, actually, in the masterminds. And that does grow into deep friendships as well, right? But it's still not the same as being physically in the same place, right? And just being neighbors or doing something shoulder to shoulder or face to face, and that is not related to sort of the aspirations you have professionally.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's so important. Awesome. This has been such an amazing conversation. I appreciate you so much. I don't know, like sometimes you can just talk to someone and like you feel their heart through the screen, and I just really feel that with you. So thank you for all you're doing in the world. Thanks for sharing your insights. I'm sure people are just like dying to know where they can connect with you. So if you want to just take a moment and let people know where to find you and what your offerings are.
Yes, if you want to learn more about coaching, go to exponential.life. It's spelled without the E. You'll find also that scorecard, highly recommend taking it because it's really cool. It's very simple, but it's not simplistic. Like it really gives you an idea of, oh, I'm set up for success, or I really need to look into my inner game, etc. So that's one thing. And you can find out how you can join some of the programs that we have. We have webinars and stuff like that. And then if you go to christianrayflores.com, this is my newsletter. I love my newsletter. I invest in it a lot. So there's high quality stuff for success and significance twice a week. And I'm very proud of it. We have over 10,000 subscribers.
I was gonna say, that's not often to put out a newsletter too. Like that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and I really put a lot of heart into it. And so it's sort of this, the best of what I have. Not only my insights, but people I speak to, interview perhaps, or my guest podcast sometimes I publish there. The books that I read, like the best of the best, I put in that newsletter. So if you feel like, oh, this resonates with me, you'll probably enjoy it as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'll have the links in the show notes too. Again, it's been such a pleasure. I appreciate you so much. If you're listening, please send this to someone you think would resonate with it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things. Let's help lift humanity up. Have a beautiful rest of your day, everyone. I will see you next week.